One of the biggest grievances that liberals have had with the Obama administration for the past few years is that they've actually done more deportations than the Bush administration. Not necessarily more than the entire 8 years of the Bush administration, but they're very soon going to pass that number. But we're going to go a little bit deeper, find out a bit more about the different types of deportations they do, so we can speak about the issue in a more, more intelligent fashion in the future. So there are actually two different types of deportations that they do. There are removals, which are orders issued by a judge, and returns that are also serious, but they're less strict and allow a person to apply to legally return much faster. The removals make it harder to get a visa in the future and higher penalties if you're found to return in the future. So let's look at those removals, the more strict kind first. We've got a chart here going back to 1982 showing how many there were. And you see an upward trend. It did not begin under Barack Obama, but it has maintained and gone up slightly since then. But it's been going up since basically the 90s. It's becoming more and more. And in fact, if you look at the removals versus the returns, you'll see something pretty interesting. The returns, the less strict ones, have been dropping and are now more rare than the removals. This happened just recently, in fact, under Barack Obama. And so just to get a bit, this isn't necessarily going to make you feel much better about what Barack Obama has done, but 59% of the removals they've conducted in the past few years have involved people who've been previously convicted of crimes. Now, we don't know what percentage of those the crime was that they had previously been in the United States illegally. 84% of the others, the non-criminal deportations, the removals, have occurred within 100 miles of the border. So for the most part, we're not talking about people being plucked out of their homes in New Hampshire or Montana or something like that. It's usually very close to the border. Take that for what it's worth and judge Obama accordingly, I guess.
I would say,
does this make you feel any better? He says that he is going to rethink his deportation policy.
Which I think is a good thing. The discussions about trying not to split up families, I think, is an important aspect of this. The increased focus on making sure that that they're focusing on criminals rather than kids who are brought here as children, the dreamers. That kind of idea, I think, makes sense. That makes sense to have our money spent on, if we're going to be doing this kind of enforcement, that's what we focus on instead.
On the numbers, that curve that you showed, John, going straight up since I guess a little bit into the second Bush administration, that all started with the development of the Department of Homeland Security. So you see, if you look at it right there, it starts going way up from that moment forward. So there was this edict put out when you make a behemoth bureaucracy, when you create it, they're going to do something, and they're going to put rules in place. Administrations are going to follow those rules and change them accordingly. So yeah, it's great they're having the conversation. It'd be great if they did something about it. It would also be great if it's not that we're just seeing these things happen in Mexico. We're seeing them happen, with Mexican immigrants and South American immigrants. It's happening with people from other countries now too. To see that breakdown demographically would be interesting too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have that. But that would be good.
I'm not a big Obama defender in general, but I don't know how much we can make out of that just by looking at what the presidents were doing at the time, just by putting the president's name there and showing a graph, because we do have something called Congress. I think we have. Is Congress still a thing?
They're still there.
They're still there. I don't know what they're doing most of the time.
They're making out with staff.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing most of the time.
It's a frat, remember?
But there's a reason that we haven't been able to get comprehensive immigration passed, and it has a lot to do with Congress. So just looking at what president was where during, at what time, I don't know that we can really glean that much from
That's
that.
fair, very fair.
Yeah, although, we don't have time to run the video, unfortunately, but Jeb Bush recently saying that immigration is not a crime, it's an act of love. He's just one major Republican, but perhaps in the future more will shift.
Only one, but it's major.
Exactly.
That was a major statement politically, because
that's why I brought it up.
Means that he, among so many, get it. Whether or not you like Jeb Bush is another story. He gets it on immigration, and if he runs for office, that's going to mean something.
Well, he either gets it or he wants to run for office.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying.
Maybe the same thing, right?
But it may be the same thing. Getting it.
Yeah.
He gets that he needs to say that to run for office. I don't think that he cares as much about immigration as I do.
Oh, I don't think he cares at all.
Well, I don't know that he doesn't care at all, because I I think a Floridian governor sees things a little differently because of the way that they have dealt with immigration in that state, because they've had it in very many different flavors than the rest of the country. But anyway, skipping that, he gets it from a political standpoint, which is unusual. So when somebody gets it from a political standpoint, things follow. When the president says that he's in favor of gay marriage, things follow
Yeah.
that, whether it has anything to do with legislation. So,
Yeah.
So this might be a break in the wall of hegemony for the
Well,
Republican Party,
if-
that we're all against this all the time, forever, no matter what happens.
Correct.
a clean break, no. But I think that there's some breathing room finally, if in fact he remains on the scene, and it seems like he's pointed that way, at least for the moment. And it may hurt him, it may hurt him getting out of that party.
Interesting to see how it
getting out of that
evolves.
primary, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully Barack Obama will evolve on this issue as he has with others, but bear in mind, you saw the numbers of removals versus returns, and removals, there's a lot of reasons why they're bad or why they're much harsher, but one of them is that thanks to a 1996 federal law, if you come in again and you'd been previously removed instead of returned, an immigration official can reinstate another removal without any judicial review whatsoever. So obviously this makes it much harder to get back in. And although we said that, a lot of this isn't like it's removing criminals and people that have recently crossed over, but between the middle of 2010 and the middle of October of 2012, people with US-born children were deported more than 200,000 times. And in every one of those 200,000 cases, that was an absolutely devastating thing for those children, for their family, and all the more reason why Obama and Republicans, perhaps even Jeb Bush, should rethink this horrible policy.